Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again. This is my Dark Souls 3 SL1 NG+7 no damage run. Both fall damage and poison damage will be exempt from this particular challenge run, and we will be engaging with a majority of the enemies in the areas. This is one particular sequence where we will not be engaging with the enemies, because there is a fuck ton of them, and they all respawn too. I think that's one of the things I've really come to appreciate with Neo. Half of the really awkward assholes in that game don't come back. Like, there are set circumstances where they do, but for the most, if they're in a really awkward position, they generally come from the yokai realm, and they generally don't come back. And this is a mechanic that's taken from Souls, because Souls used to have these very unique enemies that were one-time tough encounters, and then they didn't respawn. But you'll notice, it doesn't happen that much in this game. It didn't happen too much in Dark Souls 2 either. It's one of those things that they kind of moved away from, and I really liked the idea of it, I do. I also liked the idea of the Covenant of the Champions bringing them back, which I think is a cool idea too. But I am, of course, going to be fighting an enemy that does exactly what I was just talking about. This is an enemy that once killed will not come back. He is one of the... Is it the Outrider Knights? I always get this dude's name wrong. But I'm going to hit the bonfire first because he's a dickhead. You also notice I put the cat ring on for the drop. If you're curious about the cheat engine as well, guys, and you've got the PC version, you can drop an item, any item in the game, and you can change the ID of what that item is you dropped to any item in the video game, and then pick it back up and get it, and that's how I got that ring. Because I would have normally got it just by playing the game. If I've got to NG+7, I would have got it several times, wouldn't I? So it's one of those things that I would have already had access to. I have access to on my other two accounts, so I just gave it myself for this playthrough. And it's so helpful, dudes, if you need to do anything quickly and get to what you're wanting to do. The problem with it, of course, is it's kind of a reflection on who you are, the engine. It's a mirror to the type of player you are. I think it speaks volumes of myself that I've used the cheat engine to lower my HP so that I die in one hit. Guaranteed. And it helps me get into tier stone range, whereas the majority of people that you hear about using these pieces of technology are using it to get modded stats, to get infinite life and infinite stamina, and then they're griefing people in PvP and what have you, whereas I'm not connected to the internet, I don't have anything online, I have no intentions of hurting anyone else's game because I don't see the point in that. I'm doing this 100% to make my life more convenient so that I can focus on what I like to do, which is to overcome challenging encounters and fight awesome bosses. But here are the Corvians. So if you don't know much about the Corvians, when they start transforming, if you attack them, you will boost their transformation. Imagine Frieza going from the shitty little dude that sits in that floating chair immediately to his final form if you slapped him in the face. That's kind of what these guys do. And they're very dangerous too. On that particular foe that I just felled, he was a Corvian storyteller. If you can rush up to him, he'll try and get his buddies to help him, but if you kill him quickly, they can't. And then this is an interesting one as well. I'm not going to be killing every single Corvian here, but I've killed a few of them, and I'm ignoring the dogs. This is a path right down here that I've got into my muscle memory for some reason, and in reality, just running across the bridge at this point is much quicker and much safer. I don't know why I still do this path, but I do. It'll lead you to a Red Eyes Corvian if you want to fight him, which is kind of cool. Oh, additionally as well, I'm not going to mess with too many people inside the Crucified Woods, because I really do not like the lycanthrope hunters, and I'm not a big fan of the crabs either. They take a ridiculous amount of time to kill. And there's, once again, our HP threshold being a godsend. Oh, it's so much fun, dude. So much fun. Anyhow, let us push on. This is a really interesting zone. It's become kind of a designated fight club area for people who don't understand that that's meant to be in places where ganks aren't awesome. Yet, don't you realise that... Isn't it funny? Dark Souls 3 is a game where all the areas where the ganks are at their fiercest and they've been designed for multiple battles like that have all been in some way stolen and tried to be forced into these fight club arenas. I don't understand it. Irithyll, they turned it into a fight club area when it has the Aldrich Faithful, which is the best covenant for like ganking and fighting gankers and everything. This area is really good because of the Watchdogs of Farron. They turned it into like fight club areas. I got into more fight club fights here than I did normal invasions. I wonder why they do that. It seems so preposterous to me when Lothric is the perfect place for it. And that's where everybody did it in the beta. Everybody was up there fighting. And it was a really good arena you could watch and all sorts. It was just perfect. And it also means that when you invade in that area, you're generally not going to get any of the, you know, the people that are just going through the levels. You're generally going to get people looking for PvP. Because if you do get people going through the levels, they've got like 3 phantoms with them. And you're not going to get the people low level who are actually legitimately going through the level, because they're not high enough level to be invaded. But anyhow, this is me killing a couple of the hollows. The 2 that I killed there are important, because one of them rallies the other ones, and you'll have to fight like 20 tiny hollows, which is a pain in the dick. He can shoot you from behind, so be very careful with him. And then here's this buddy up here, who takes a big old backstab. And then we're going to be taking on the Crystal Sage. So the Crystal Sage is a really tricky fight, but I managed to have some fun with him, which is always really interesting. Some of the stuff that I've figured out with this boss, his transformation seems to be hit-based rather than damage-based. I thought it was damage-based, it's not. If you just stand there, he can just cast magic indefinitely, and he's a massive wanker for doing it, because I cannot stand that spell that he throws into the air. It has just the most stupid hit spread distance on it. There are times when it's nowhere near you, there are times when it's massively near you. It doesn't make any sense. But a few things that can help you here. The first one is, if you poison this dude, it's actually really effective. You can kind of poison him and wait him out, and he'll just die. It's kind of crazy. I didn't realise how effective it was. I think maybe at certain thresholds he'll leave, but poison's really good. Bleed is really good as well, but it's nowhere near as good as it used to be. Trust me, I've tried it out quite extensively. It's powerful, but it's not as powerful as it was. And parrying this guy is actually really good as well. He has 2 melee attacks when you get close to him. He has a fast one that has magic on it, which is done with his left arm, I think. And then he has a slightly slower one that comes out very quickly, where he does it with his right hand and it's his rapier. That's the fast magic one. We want the other one, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm baiting his other move, so I can do a parry, I can two-hand, and I can riposte after the buff. And I can do an incredible amount of damage. And then after this, I can do a couple of hits, because he's always going to teleport. If you can get him, for whatever freak reason, to try and parry and attack you with melee again and get another parry, you can completely circumvent this phase of killing the clones. And the way that I like to do it is I like to lock onto them and throw throwing knives at them, because the throwing knives are very fast, and the lock-on is... Look at the range of that lock-on. When have you ever been able to lock onto an enemy that far away? It's almost like the lock-on in this arena is better than the lock-on in the main game, because for whatever reason, it's really on your side, and I think that's fantastic design, but it should be how the game works anyway. And there's him throwing it into the air, so be very careful with the spread on that. It's utter bullshit. Here's me trying to bait melee because I'm close, and here it comes. This should be the ender, and that's the end of the fight. It looks easy, but it's really not. It's kind of the swan song of this entire thing. A lot of these fights look like they just happen and you wreck them, but figuring out how to do what happens in these videos takes a lot of time, and then getting that sweet spot where everything goes your way, it can be very challenging. But there you go, guys, that's the end of the Crystal Sage. So I'm going to hit the bonfire, and I'm not showing my level again, which is kind of awkward, but there you go. I can assure you I've not leveled up. You can tell from my actions it's the same damage. It's hopefully in the future videos I'll remember to do that, but thank you for watching. You take care now.